Sautéed Onions here. Welcome back to Meal Monday and welcome back to my channel. This is 100 Instant Pot meals and we're going to be making steak fried rice. With the Instant Pot, of course, all of these are Instant Pot meals, so don't forget to give it a follow if you need some cooking ideas. So I'm really excited about this one because I've never done it before and I didn't know what to do for today, so I took a look in my fridge and I came up with all these miscellaneous items and thought, hey, this would be perfect for steak rice. So I'm gonna grab one of my frozen pieces of steak and sorry, my kids' stuff here. So I'm gonna open the freezer and I am going to grab a frozen steak, and this is grass-fed beef ribeye steak. Okay, so this steak is frozen. I need to defrost it, so just really easy. I'm gonna go ahead and put this tray in the Instant Pot so that way I'm just defrosting the steak and that way it doesn't get all soaked and gross in the water. So you always want at least 1 cup of water in the Instant Pot so that way it doesn't burn, and then of course you need that steam to go ahead and defrost the steak. I mean, 2 minutes, like that is amazing. So here I go, I'm putting 1 cup in there. And then let me just get my cooking scissors so I can cut this steak out of here. And this is the thing, is steak is really expensive. I'm sure all of you are well aware of that. And I love steak and I feel like there's such good iron and nutrients in there. So a great way to get the health benefit of eating steak, but without breaking the bank, especially I have a family of 5 and my kids eat a lot, I just like to make a whole meal with 1 steak in it, because here we're getting a lot of that health benefit without eating a lot of it, so it's not as expensive. So I'm gonna go ahead and pressure cook. I'm gonna pressure cook and I'm gonna say custom. I'm just gonna do 2 minutes, even if it's slightly, I still want it raw. I still want it kind of pink in the middle because I want to saute that steak with the other ingredients, and I don't want it to get too cooked in there because I want to make sure it absorbs a lot of the flavors I'm going to be cooking with and all of that. So this is my first time making this, so we're all doing it together and hopefully it turns out really good. Guys, while that is preheating the meat, I'm going to go ahead and cut up the vegetables. So I'm going to first cut up the onion in little pieces here. Just dice it, and oh my goodness, if I get crying over here, which I know I will, I sometimes don't cut them up in small enough pieces, and that's okay if they're a little bit big, just because it's hard for me to chop up. So anyways, I'm trying to decide if I should do butter in this recipe or olive oil, so you can do whichever one you want. But since we're talking about saving money, I'm gonna go ahead and do the olive oil instead of the butter. But if I want that extra like buttery, yummy flavor, I'm gonna do the butter. But right now I'm gonna do olive oil to saute this onion in. So first I'm gonna saute the onion and garlic and meat all together until it's all brown and what would the word you would say? Yeah, I think that's it. Like the onion you want to be translucent. And I love not adding sugar to the meals I saute, yet a lot of people tell me they think there's sugar in there because it has a sweetness, but that's all about caramelizing. So when you caramelize the onion, it gives that sugary flavor without adding any sugar to your dish. And I love that. So I'm gonna caramelize. So I'm just gonna saute it in that olive oil until it caramelizes. And oh my goodness, I'm crying. And then I am going to do that with the meat as well because I love browned meat. I would say seared. I love seared meat. And see, as much as I want to chop this smaller, I can't chop it anymore because I am like, my eyes are so watering. The other thing I wanted to bring up is the fact that since this makes such a good rice cooker, the Instant Pot is such a good pressure cooker that as even though I can saute. If I had 2 Instant Pots right here, I could go ahead and saute in one and then have the rice cooking in the other. But because I want to multitask and I don't want to have to wait for the rice to be done, the steak is done defrosting, I want to cook my rice in there while I'm at the stove sauteing the other ingredients. So we're going to multitask and let the rice cook as we're sauteing, and yeah, then make it quick that way. So I am also going to chop up a half a cabbage and 1 bell pepper, and I'm gonna put that, because I wanna chop that up. Let me think here. Okay, now it's done preheating, and then we're gonna have the 2 minutes. So I'm trying to think here. I want to go ahead and chop up the 2 carrots, the bell pepper, and the cabbage. And this is a good way to get vegetables in, protein in, and your carb all in one meal. So that way it's just really easy, especially if you have leftovers. It's nice to just grab some rice and you have all that you need in one dish. Okay, so I guess I'm gonna use this bowl right here. So while we're waiting for the meat to defrost, because all my meat I keep frozen most of the time, because, and that's why I love the Instant Pot. If I wouldn't have as much food options if I didn't have the Instant Pot, because I always forget to defrost meat and then I have to throw it away. But because of the Instant Pot, I am able to freeze my meat and easily defrost it in a few minutes, or 5 minutes or 10 minutes, versus waiting like a day or 2 to defrost your meat. So it's just been so great. And I don't know how I lived without this before. It's really life-changing. And my parents got me into it. I was really skeptical at first, like, no, trust me, you really got to try it. And I'm like, well, I have a stove and I have an oven. I have what I need. And really, it took me going over to their house, seeing how easy it was to prepare their meals. And I was like, okay, I'm sold now. I'm sold, because sometimes you just really got to see it to believe it, and experience how quick it is, how easy it is, and then you're just starting to want to use it all the time. I probably use mine every single day. So I'm now just chopping up these carrots into small pieces. So I'll show you how small. And that is going to be also cooked in there. And then here we go. Oh, it's ready. So I did 2 minutes. And I might as well get my pan heating up. Let's see if I could turn this around so you can see me over here. Okay, so here is my pan. I'm gonna take some olive oil. It's probably gonna be about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And I always guess. I've changed. I used to try and measure everything perfectly, and then I'm like, I don't have time to measure perfectly. And so now I just kind of guesstimate and put it in. If it's a little bit more, a little bit less, that's totally fine. So again, let's turn this back here and let's take a look at this steak. And yeah, I am going to mix it in with this. We'll put this over in a minute. Where's my scissors? I'm gonna just cut it with my cooking scissors. And then we want 4 garlic cloves, more or less. I feel like the more garlic, the better. But if you just use what you have. And 2, if you don't have garlic, you could use garlic powder or garlic salt, whatever you wanna do. But I love fresh garlic. And I know it seems like a lot of work to peel each one, but I just feel like the flavor of fresh garlic it's so worth the work. It's so good. And all the health benefits and the nutrients, you're gonna get more health benefit with the fresh garlic over the garlic powder, of course. Actually, I'm just gonna do three garlic cloves. And then it's okay if I add it a little bit later. So I have those peeled, but I'm gonna go ahead and take my meat. And this may not be like super pretty. Uh-oh, it's already going. Here, I'm gonna go ahead and dump the onions in here first because it's already like going. Okay, and then we are going to take the meat and cut it with scissors, with cooking scissors, of course. You know what? It's a little bit frozen still inside, but not bad. I think I won't have a problem. So, I mean, if you want, you could probably do 3 minutes, but I'm just gonna cut it up. And I wanted it raw inside on purpose, so that it could cook together with everything else. And you could see in there, see how it has the pink? And it's completely normal for the outside to be brown. And I know that like the Instant Pot is great for things that you don't need control over. Okay, so here we go. We want to move this around a bit. Maybe turn it down a tad, and sometimes you might feel like you have to add a little bit more olive oil. Okay, now I'm going to do 1.5 cups of rice, and I'm going to rinse it twice, just because I don't want it to be too starchy. So here we go. And what I love is how this is kind of like just having a rice cooker, but even better. You just click rice, white rice, hot. It's high 12 minutes with 5 minutes of pressure, and start, and you're good to go. So let's hurry up and cut this meat up so we could get it in there with the onions. And then I'm probably gonna put like the blend seasoning on there. The blend seasoning, I love it. It's a Kinder seasoning. All it is just garlic, pepper, and salt. And it makes it really taste good and really good proportions. Let's go ahead, look how that's caramelizing. That's gonna give it a sweet flavor. And let's add the steak in there. And then I'm gonna work on cutting up the garlic as that sautés for a while. And let's add this Kinder's, the blend, really good. And then we need a little bit more olive oil because it looks like it's probably gonna burn. Okay, a little bit more olive oil. And the reason why I'm trying to caramelize everything is so that I don't have to add sugar. Trying to keep my kids away from eating too much sugar. There you go. Let's let that set while we cut up the garlic. The rice is cooking, and here we go, cutting up some garlic to throw in there. And I prefer adding the garlic later anyway, because I notice that sometimes when you're sauteing onion and you add the garlic with it, the garlic gets burned. So, and then I don't really like burned garlic flavor. So it actually tastes better if you could kind of focus on putting that in later after you did the onion and the meat, and then add the garlic after that. You guys. Okay, here we go, adding the garlic. It's gonna be so amazing. I feel like I need a brighter light here. And of course, steak doesn't have to be cooked that long. It almost looks like it's already cooked. Okay, now while I'm waiting for all of that, I'm gonna continue chopping up my vegetables while that sautés and while the rice. Okay, now we're gonna chop up the bell pepper, 1 bell pepper, and it doesn't matter what color. But the red makes it look pretty. Okay, now we're gonna do a half a cabbage and green cabbage, but you know, if that's all I have, if I only have the red, I'll use that as well. It doesn't matter, but I feel like the red cabbage, which I don't know why they don't call it purple cabbage, but that gives things a color. So your rice may turn purple, but it tastes the same, just a little bit. I would say the purple cabbage is a little bit, has a little bit of a spicier taste. I'm gonna try and cut this pretty small. And a great way to get your vegetables in if you're not huge on eating vegetables. I love vegetables, but like say for instance your kids don't like them as much, or you want to eat more of them, look at all that cabbage. So we're gonna add all of this. Look at that, it's nice and caramelized, even the meat. And we're gonna add all the vegetables in. Alrighty, so excited you guys, this looks so good. Now, I don't want it to burn or get too dry at the bottom. So I'm just gonna add a tiny bit more oil and look at that, all those vegetables and meat, and then we're gonna add the rice to it when it's done. This Bragg's liquid aminos. Actually, I was raised on this. My parents put this in so much. We put it on our rice and a lot of our food. It's really healthy for you, and I believe it has over 90 minerals in it, so it's really healthy for you. And actually, I loved that they always had a Bible verse on their bottles. So anyways, I don't think it has it anymore, but it has this one saying 16 amino acids. Something else I read, it had a lot of other benefits in it, but I am just going to sprinkle a little bit of that. And don't put too much though, because this soy sauce is really strong. You don't need a lot. A little bit goes a long way. And I'm just gonna mix that in. And that's the other thing, is I always undersalt instead of oversalt, because if you oversalt it, it's really difficult to unsalt it, right? But you can always add more salt if you feel like it needs it. And then also I'm gonna add ginger. I wish I had fresh ginger, but I don't. So I'm gonna go ahead and add ginger powder. So this is what I have. So I'm gonna go ahead and use that. Ginger would be the best, but whenever you don't have a certain seasoning, then you could just go ahead and, or a certain herb or whatever it is, you can just at least add the seasoning in instead. But see how it was all big and now it's cooking down to a lot less. Okay, so now I just turned off the heat because I want to make sure I don't overcook the vegetables either, and the rice should be done really soon, in a couple of minutes. All right, it has about 1 minute left, which I think that's totally fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and release the pressure so I can add this rice to my stir fry. Okay, so of course it's gonna be to taste. So I'm gonna add the rice, and I'm gonna add either actually a little bit of the red chili flakes. That's a little bit easier to even out the spicy flavor. I also want to use hot sauce, but the hot sauce might be a little bit difficult to distribute the spice. But since this is my first time making this, I'm like, I'm gonna go for it and do something different and use both of them to see, because we like a lot of spicy in our dishes, and my kids like spicy as well, which is really shocking because even my 2-year-old is like, like he wants more hot sauce. I mean, 3-year-old now. Okay, here is the white rice. And that's what I love about the Instant Pot. I used to burn rice, and now I never ever burn rice. Here, let me bring this down so you can see it. It's a little bit hard to see, huh? There we go. All right, so I am going to add this. Ouch. We're gonna mix it all together. Oops, I'm getting a little bit messy here. Here, I'm just gonna take this whole thing. And let me get a spoon instead of a spatula. Let's mix it all together. I love it, and you know what? We could have even done a whole cabbage and it would have been amazing. So it just depends on how much rice to vegetable you like, but I feel like this would have been, and I only had the half a cabbage anyway, but if I had more cabbage, I would totally have added more cabbage. Let me see if I could get this closer for you to see. So let's go ahead and add the pepper flakes. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of hot sauce. And then of course I may have to add a little bit more liquid amino, so I'm gonna try it to see. And I know some people like to add the sriracha seasoning, and that would be really good too. But I don't have that, so we'll just add some spicy. It looks so good, you guys. Oh my goodness. We're trying a little bit. I would definitely say more liquid aminos, because I always try and play it safe and just taste a little, add a little, because I don't want to over salt. A little bit more. It needs more. And you guys, I just keep doing this because I'm so scared to mess it up. And you know what? Even a little pepper would be good. And finally, that is perfect. The perfect amount of soy sauce and pepper and everything. So Definitely feel like it needs to be to taste and your preferences. And I hope you enjoy.